So today we're going to talk about why this little guy, ether, and this bigger guy, a plant, are actually very similar in that they both work with, propagate, and shape energy. And they're actually both of these are the same as this guy, as me, because I do the same. All bodies do the same action, which is to pull in this subtle energy from our surroundings, from the universe, from wherever we are in space and time, to pull in that energy, to process it, to move it forward in time, to have it experience transformation. And then it outputs in a certain way. So for human beings such as us, when we bring in energy and then when it usually outputs as a mood or as a vibe. So you might be around someone, you might feel a very happy, peppy energy around them, or you might feel kind of a sad, still energy to them, or maybe just this insidious, kind of toxic, harsh vibe to them. And that's because they bring in energy, and their inner workings, kind of these shape that this little piping system that you would call a human is for that person, or whatever shade of glass, whatever shade or color, when light passes through it, results. This is how you feel as someone's vibe. And we can process that energy in more ways than just the mood we're in and the day we're having. We can actually make some really beautiful things with it. For example, ether. We'll start here first. So this is programmed to take an energy, to process it in a way that is quite pleasing and helpful to people, and then of course output that for everyone to use. So these guys are very small, very positive little vortexes of this processed energy. And I mentioned us, when we pull in energy and output it, it's our vibe, it's what it feels like to be around us, it's our personality, it's the manifestation of our moods. But today, I want to focus more on this guy, so plants. So plants are, of course, also doing the same thing. Being a living entity in 3D reality, it pulls in subtle energy to, you could say, maintain itself. It seems to be an aspect of how it all works. Is if you're alive, you're pulling in energy somehow. And to continue to be alive, to continue to have those particles spinning or whatever it is that this energy does explicitly, it then outputs in a certain way. So with plants, being a living thing, they accumulate energy, and of course that energy is mostly spent on growing or developing and eventually maturing and creating offspring and doing all of that. But the first thing it does is to grow. So and I'm gearing this video towards people who are just now learning that there is an energetic aspect to themselves. They are learning that they can feel this energy with some practice. You might be in the crowd that already has a sample of ether or other relatable, programmed, orgonite devices. There's not very many out there. You are aware that this creates energy and it has an output. So yes, the goal is to show you that energy is everywhere. It's not just in these little devices I've made for you and that others are making for you. It's everywhere. And you don't really have to have any know-how to see or feel or intuit this. You can do it quite naturally, and you can do it physically with your own hands. So first off, if you do have this sample, see what that feels like. What is that vibe? It feels kind of positive, right? It's a little bit uplifting. It's got some pep to it. So the goal of feeling it with plants is to feel something that's also pleasant, something that's also a bit uplifting, but it's not going to be quite as focused as an ether device. So you might be thinking, where would be the best place to try and feel the energy of a plant? And in my opinion, and from what I've noticed throughout the years of trying this out and learning more about it, is, especially with a younger plant, the very top of it is where you'll find most of that energy flow, and you'll feel the most tangible something going on. So my advice is it's probably easier with a houseplant because you can kind of keep it indoors and do this without worrying about people seeing you or anything, because it would look a little odd if you do it for a while. But yeah, houseplant's fun, but otherwise go outside and, do it out in public if you want. But just hover your hand over it And of course, if you're going to be able to feel this energy, just like with an ether device, you have to relax yourself. You can't be all caught up in your own vibration, kind of trapped in your own shape, so that you can't perceive other shapes around you, such as the shape of this energy. So you have to be a conduit. You have to be a clear channel for communication to happen. So to do that, we got to be relaxed. So go ahead and take a few deep breaths. Enough that you feel your ribs stretch a bit and your torso stretches a bit. And then exhale an equal length to get all that carbon dioxide out. And do it a few more times. In, nice and long and deep. Exhale for equal length. Feel your belly go back to normal as it shrinks down as the air exits. So after you do it a few times, you're kind of in a more receptive state already. You may need to stretch a little bit. There's various stretches you can do to feel more tuned in and to feel you have better conductivity. But once you're in a good state, and I have other videos that kind of describe how to get there, many different ways to do that. Make sure your arms are relaxed, of course. If you got tight shoulders or kind of a stiff neck and you're trying to feel this and conduct that energy and be able to actually perceive it, you got to have a good reception tool. You have to have a good antenna. So make sure that you have your arm at a comfortable sort of, kind of like a 135-degree angle, I guess you could say. Kind of like that. So nothing too bent, nothing too straight or stiff or too bent like this. Make sure everything kind of has a soft curve to it. It's the best way to feel energy. And in martial arts a lot, it kind of has this half-tensed kind of springiness to it. And that's where I get that angle from. In any case, make sure that your arm is comfortable as you have your hand over it and try and feel just any sort of texture, any sort of movement, like maybe a slightly lifting mist. That's kind of what I feel, almost as if there was steam coming off of it, but it's not exactly hot. It's just kind of a density more like. Sorry, when I describe this stuff, my voice gets kind of like a surfer a little bit, that upward intonation. I'll just try and talk normally. So here's some tips. So if you stick your hand right over it and you're just keeping it there and you're starting to get stiff and you're starting to get impatient and you're like, I don't feel anything. Well, of course, if you're feeling sore, you're going to feel your own sensations over that of a very subtle thing that you haven't really interacted with before. You need those brain connections. You need that experience before it can really become easy. So you're going to feel your own tensions in your body and your own muscles getting tired first. So, relax and move it around. You don't have to keep it still. In fact, you can kind of move it up and down and see if you feel a sort of like a balloon, like you're pressing against a balloon a little bit. And at the same time, you can do it horizontally. See if you feel more activity here than elsewhere. You might feel it kind of like want to rise or like a certain buoyancy. And just kind of learn the shape of the energy that you're dealing with. Because learning how to feel energy fields and to shape them when they're around you, or at least let's not skip way too far ahead, to feel the shapes of the energies around you. We're not going to shape anything this show. Is tremendously helpful for learning advanced techniques and archetypes, such as I discussed in Bastion, which is who this video is geared for. If I do share it outside of Bastion, perhaps on YouTube, this is a technique that I thought you guys could also benefit from without overloading you with too much complexity. In any case, I think I've addressed everyone. So practice feeling various types of plants. If you have like a baby pine tree or something, that would be really great because it has a very strong upwards motion. But otherwise, just practice here and practice breathing. I would recommend looking up Qigong or watching some of my other videos that discuss getting into a proper state for building energy. And of course, the more energy you have, the easier you're going to feel other energies because they bounce against each other and they press against each other. And you're mostly feeling the interaction of those fields more so than something in your hands and fingers. So if you need help making your own energy, ether, of course, is always there, and it's very helpful for that. Otherwise, that breathing, deep breaths in and out, stretching that torso, stretching that chest, naturally creates energy. It's like almost like a little generator. It's a breath power generator. So as you learn to feel a single plant, the next step of this exercise would be to walk around outside and kind of hover your hand over these plants. If you're walking along a route that has plants, try and feel their collective fields and kind of feel when it's really thick with plants and it's really lush with moisture and life, and compare that to dry patches that are mostly stony or don't have many plants, and kind of feel that grow and lushness. And of course, you might counter, well, Joe, this is just the humidity I'm feeling, or there's more moisture there. And the thing is, you're exactly right. There is more moisture in places with more plants. But the thing is, moisture, water, ether, they go together amazingly well. That's why gifting these things near water or in lakes or in ponds has a tremendous effect on the region, because that water accumulates and absorbs energy, and this just kind of supercharges that. So yes, you're totally right. The places with more moisture, you will feel more energy in. But you're not just feeling the moisture. You're feeling what piggybacks on that. It's like the moisture is a carrier wave, and energy just loves to kind of jump in there. Anyways, what are we at? We're at 11 minutes. I think we've had enough for now. Just get along to the habit and try and do this at least a few times a week, and every time you're outside. You could walk with your arms down and straight and just focus on the path ahead of you, but if you want to get good at this stuff, if you want to have these skills that everyone's going to be pretty, envious of, you'll be able to relax yourself and those around you. You can do incredible things and really help heal people by learning to interact and evoke and shape energy. And this is one of the first steps, okay? You got to learn how to feel it around you. And plants are great because they're not complicated. It's not the unruly feeling of a person, which can change any second. It's static, and it's pleasant, and it feels good, and it recharges you, and it inspires you. It's healthy for you. So it's the best way to get this started. One last tip before I go. It may be helpful to have ether in one hand, even a tiny piece like this, because it can conduct through your body as you relax. And especially being outside, you can relax easier and deeper because you're in all this calm amassment of positive energy. And you got this little guy to soup up your own positivity and better interact with that. And all together, you come to this amazing feeling that it's like you're in front of a symphony and it's playing itself before you. And you have this little guy, which is just jazzing everyone up. And you got all the plants and they just have their own thing going. It's really a beautiful experience. So I am telling you, practice this skill. Whenever you see a plant, if you can get near it, try breathing, relaxing, and try feeling it. And if it's too hard on the sides, look for new growth. Usually around the top of the plant, it's best. But for different plants, it's different. So yeah, experiment. And you'll find that just by doing this a little bit a day, you're going to feel a lot calmer and a lot more in tune with yourself, even though you're trying to feel some houseplant. It has that effect on people. So best of luck, and I'll see you guys later.